What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is the only sports podcast. That's right, the only sports podcast. I'm Will. That's Casino over there. How
How's it
we
going?
doing today, Casino?
Going okay. Another one of those nights where your kids just don't sleep at all, and once you got the one to sleep, the other one starts waking up. It was fun. So a
Oh
little
yeah,
tired. But I did start watching a new show, which was great during all that. The show Chaos on Netflix. Pretty good.
chaos.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't that one just get canceled?
I think
I think
so.
it. Yeah. But yeah, my son, same thing last night, Casino. He went to bed super early, woke up went to bed super late, woke up super
Look
early,
at
and
us.
was yeah. And then I also have this, I don't know, just red thing on my nose that I cannot fucking get rid of.
Called your nose.
Well, it's just a little red part right here. So if
Well,
anyone
I mean, are
knows,
you planning on helping out Santa this year, or
yeah, if anybody knows what that is, because I look at Google, and even when you look at Google, you're like, worst case scenario, it's this. I can't find anything. I have no idea what this thing is, but I've been putting ointments and things on it, and nothing, nothing. My nose just looks, yeah, like Rudolph.
Yeah,
But
huh, I don't know why it got canceled because you know what? I've actually enjoyed it, so I just pulled it up. I I thought it
it's
wasn't
with
bad.
Jeff Goldblum, right?
Yeah, so IMDb got a 7.5, Rotten Tomatoes 76. Um, like, I mean, I've enjoyed it. Jeff
But
Goldblum's great, always.
yeah. But we're talking about Rudolph Casino, except it's still spooky season. I don't know if you can see that very spooky pumpkin by my head, but that means it's spooky season. Today, not a lot of spooky, but on Thursday's show for Halloween, we're gonna be spooked out, Casino.
Spooked out.
Spooked out.
Hmm.
But that's or that's Thursday show, I should say. For today's show, we're just talking about NFL news and what happened in the games this weekend. I'm pulling something up. Please hold. We're going to be talking
Holding.
first about NFL news, Casino. I was going to put breaking news, but it's not really breaking news. So let's go to the NFL news of the day. And that is Anthony Richardson has been, oops, has been benched for Joe Flacco after statistically having one of the worst, and I mean worst, statistical starts to an NFL career any quarterback has ever had. I believe he's bottom 3 or 5, if I remember correctly, in almost every stat category for a quarterback. So
Oof.
historically bad, but this is
Is Bryce
by
Young worse?
no, I think Anthony Richardson actually might be worse.
Oof.
But according to Adam Schefter, here's the report. A QB change for the Colts. Indianapolis is benching former first round pick Anthony Richardson and turning to veteran Joe Flacco. Sources tell Jeremy Fowler. And me. Oh, he always has to put in that, like, they told two of us at the same time, even though we know everyone knows they told Jeremy Fowler. Uh
Right. That's
coaches
funny.
coaches met this morning and made the seismic organizational decision to change QBs. That's my first question. Is this a seismic organizational decision? Does this feel like that big a deal?
I mean, yeah, I think so.
I don't think I don't think I feel that way. I mean, it's not like, again, he started what, 8, 7, 6 games this season and 4 games last season. I believe I saw the number was 11. So he's
Yeah, I
starting
mean, but here's the
11
thing,
games for the Colts.
if you can tell that he's not the guy, he's not the guy. Like, move.
Well, yeah.
Like, for a good example, the Panthers this year, they most likely will get the number 1 overall pick again. Do you pick another quarterback?
Well, yeah, look at the difference between what happened with Justin Fields and what look at with Caleb Williams. Now all of a sudden the Bears, I mean, we'll get to that game, but they're one win away from being, you know, a top 3 team in the league in terms of record right now if a Hail Mary doesn't get successful. But yeah, when we look at Anthony Richardson, now the thing about him coming out of Florida was that he didn't play any games. right? Like that was the whole thing with him. It's just he was an unknown commodity at the quarterback position. And so far in his career, he has a 5-5 record, a 50% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, with 1,500 yards. So again, not there's like really nothing here. I think he's too raw, right? Like that's what we when we were doing the AFC South preview, the giant question mark on the Colts was Anthony Richardson and if he would continue improving like he did last year or kind of plateau, and it looked like he plateaued.
He fell off the plateau.
He fell off the plateau.
He road runnered that bitch off. He was like, "Woo."
Well,
He was the
also,
Wile E. Coyote of the situation.
so we don't have to talk about this game in a little bit because there was nothing really in it except for this moment. In the Colts Texans game on this past Sunday, there was a moment that I mean, I've seen very few moments just like light a fire under especially former players, but just like NFL online presence like this one moment, which was Anthony Richardson. He's running around on I believe, a third down play or a second down play that was a second and long turned into a third and long. He runs around for a good minute to avoid a sack. He throws the ball, it just goes right into the dirt. And then he stands up, taps his helmet as if he's like tapping out. He's like repeatedly tapping the helmet, goes to the sidelines, is down on one knee, looks like he's out of breath. The quarterback, the Flacco, goes into the game for one play, then comes out one play, and Anthony Richardson goes back into the game. So the announcers are like, "What's going on? What's going on?" They ask him in the post game press conference, and the reporter goes, "Were you hurt or were you just tired?" And Anthony Richardson goes, "Oh, I was just tired. I need to catch my breath." In the middle of a game, in the middle of a drive, in the middle of a series, on like a crucial third down in a close game. Have you ever in all your history of watching football, Casino, your entire life, have you ever seen something like that?
No. No, and, going the defenses for in any team should just be pointing and laughing at him because they have to deal with that. When they get tired, they just
Yeah.
have to go back out. Like, those linemen are needing oxygen tanks, and they're still out there playing because that's what they're getting paid to do. Not like, man, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm so tired." No, like, that was absolutely ridiculous that he did that.
Well,
I
I also
It blew
think
my mind. I honestly think that might be the moment that cost him his starting job.
I think so 100%. And this is going to be one of those things, much like the Cam Newton doesn't die for the fumble in the Super Bowl. This is going to be a moment that
That
no
ruins his
matter,
career.
yeah, whatever he ever tries to do in this league, there's always going to be the stigma in the moment that goes right back to that moment, right? Like this is going to haunt him unless he has a,
There's going to be a eye on him constantly about his conditioning in the offseason.
yeah. Well, also, that's the other thing. We just mentioned he's played 11 games in the pro. I think he played about the same amount of games in college. So this is a guy who has played almost impossibly the fewest games of any player in the NFL right now, right? Like just across their career in terms of college and pro football. And you're the one getting tired. Like you should be the one who has like the freshest legs of anybody. You've played the least. That just seems so, I mean, it's just again, if he needed to catch a break, I or need to catch a breath, I get it, but it also just the stigma of it and the bad look of it, even if it's not that big of a deal, because again, it was like a third and 20 something, it's still just going to be the stigma of it. And his
He
teammates
didn't
have to
want to
be
throw another
like,
pick.
well, yeah. And then also the teammates need to be like, dude, Flacco's over here on a crutches or in a wheelchair about to go into the old folks home and he's out here every week like just slinging it. Right? And then you have Anthony
I'm so
Richardson.
happy. I want nothing but just like a 4-game tear for the Colts right now. I
Well,
I I love Joe Flacco. I didn't, obviously I rooted against him when he was on the Ravens playing the Patriots because he was good. um, at that time. And I don't know, he's got a spark, man. Like,
I've
he's
said it.
resurrecting his career. I love it.
We said it on here. I asked the question a couple weeks ago. Is Joe Flacco elite? And this season and last season, he kind of looks like he's elite.
He's
Like he
right on.
just
You can make the argument. I would say you can make the argument.
this season, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. Again, in the same offense that this guy Anthony Richardson is in, where he can't complete over 50% of his throws. He has 4 passing touchdowns, or he has less than that. He has 3 passing touchdowns on the year. Like, what are we doing? What are
Yeah,
we
because it's
doing,
that new
Casino?
age and day. It's the new age and day of quarterback where there's no true pocket quarterbacks anymore. Like, everybody has to be either a dual quarterback or a running quarterback.
But then you see, yeah, but then you see guys like Flacco, you see guys like Stafford, you see guys like Burrow and Kirk Cousins, and to a certain extent, Mahomes, all just like guys who stay in the pocket and just kind of sling it. And then you see
Well,
guys like, you know, Lamar Jackson or Hurts or other the quarterbacks who are like the dual threats. They're missing games every year because they get injured, they get hurt. Like, maybe the way to go is the way it's always been for quarterbacks, which is just stand in the pocket and sling it.
who would have thunk? Who would have thunk? The greatest quarterback of all time has 7 Super Bowls because he stayed in the pocket and he just worked the slant.
Well, and then yeah, and then you look at a guy like Jaden Daniels, great pocket passer, and for some reason just likes to run it as much as he does throw it, and then he gets banged up when he does. I don't know. But all right,
Well, the other
Casino.
big thing, I mean, we're kind of skipping on that. The other big thing about that game in particular was Stephon Diggs tearing his ACL.
Yeah. Oh, that was you're right. That was the same game.
Yep, Diggs tore
Same
his
game.
ACL in a non-contact play, so he is out for the season.
Uh
That's
how
huge.
how big of a deal do you think that is for this Texans offense?
I think it's huge. I think that stops them from being a true legit Super Bowl contender. Could they still make
Oh,
upset games, in my opinion? Yes. They could still go far. They could win a game in the playoff, but to be a team that can make to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, I think they needed Diggs.
yeah, and so far this season, 47 receptions, 500 yards, 3 receiving touchdowns, averaging almost 11 yards per catch. He was making his presence known again on a Texans team
He was
that,
there when you needed him.
yes, he was a reliable wide receiver. He's a very good clutch player, as we've seen from the Minneapolis Miracle when
That
that
you blame
Vikings
that
team
game on
was.
the safety. The safety was that was the
Yeah,
safety. That was all the safety.
but I mean, still, that was still a great play and great awareness by his part just to stay in bounds. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's a bit of it. I mean, not a bit of, he is a diva. He is a weirdo. But when it comes to being a diva and a weirdo on the field, he is like, he holds up to it. Like he is, I mean, you look at all of his stats, even when he was having a shit time in Buffalo and wanted out of there, he still had 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns, and almost 110 receptions. Like he delivers on the field. I've always said,
So he's
I'll
Odell Beckham Jr., but
with
he can actually do
production.
things. But he can
Yeah.
actually do things.
I'll always take a diva wide receiver on my team if they actually produce. Like, why do I care if you want to be a diva? It's like play the game and I'm fine with you. I've never really, I mean, his stuff on the field, I think he's like a weirdo off the field, and there's some weird stuff with him off field, but on field, I take a Stephon Diggs on my team all day. But I do agree, Stephon Diggs is out. I believe they also lost either Tank Dell or Nico Collins. He's been out for one of them, have also been out for a little bit. So now they're down potentially 2 weapons. So yeah, this is a blow again to a Texans team that I don't know. Again, against the Colts, I said it was a
It's halfway
sneaky
through the season. I
upset.
don't know what they are.
It's what?
It's halfway through the season. I still don't know what they are.
Yeah, I don't know what, again, we've talked about it before. I don't know what we like how we would even classify what this Texans team is right now. They're really good, but and it was Nico Collins. Nico Collins is still out. So they're down to basically Tank Dell and Joe Mixon. Like, and then they also got Schultz, the tight end, and that's pretty much it. Then they have a bunch of guys who were rotational third and fourth string wide receivers. So Stroud, again, having a decent season. I don't think he is having the MVP season most people thought he would be, but who knows? Who knows? 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So not bad. He's about middle of the pack for in terms of most quarterback stats and ratings. So yeah, I don't know. Texans, will they ever just catch fire? Who knows? But it's time, Casino. It's time. Before we go into the NFL again, let's jump over to college football week 9. Or was it week 9? Yes, it was week 9. And the first thing we have to talk about,
Mm,
UNLV falling to Boise State 29-24. Uh the floor is yours.
yeah. It was a good game. It really came down to the last 2 minutes of the first half where UNLV let two touchdowns in, one via a turnover, that led into points. So they played really well. And you know what? I had said that it came down to, and I think this puts a ding into his Heisman Trophy candidacy, is can you stop Ashton Genty? And you know what? Off of 33 carries, they only let him go for 128 yards and one touchdown. They did it. Like our UNLV's quarterback, Williams, 19 carries for 105 yards and one touchdown. He almost had the same amount of yards and a touchdown as Genty with less rushes. And he played well outside of that one interception. I mean, this was a really, really close game. It did come down to the end where UNLV just couldn't get them off the field to get a chance to go down and win the game. Um, but you know what? It shows that when Genty actually goes up, I mean, again, UNLV was only the 20th best rushing defense in the league. If Genty goes into these playoffs and he tries to go up against, another team, most likely if Oregon stays one, they could potentially, go against Oregon. Oregon only has the 48th best rushing defense in the league, as I said last week. So, things have probably shifted a little bit. But Genty trying to go against an actual good rushing defense, that's going to hurt him going forward. And I think that's going to hurt the team. But you know what? I'm still proud to be the Rebels. Like I was telling my buddy about it, that to actually care about the Rebel football. Like I've always cared about Rebel football, but watching it and now actually having stake in the game to be like, oh, this matters. Not just like, oh, I want my team to win. Oh, if they lose, it's whatever. They always lose. But having a stake in the game, like that was actually fun. Like it's been fun to watch. So you know what? Good for the Broncos. They only moved up two. Um, yeah, so we'll see. I think UNLV's, if they have any chance, not saying they do, I don't think they do, but if they had any chance to make the college football playoffs, you had to have, and we'll move on to one of the other games here. Um, you had to have, which team was it? Was it Army or Navy that played Notre Dame? Navy.
Navy.
Navy, because Army and Navy were the two teams that are right there with Boise State and UNLV to make the playoffs, take that 12th spot, and Notre Dame absolutely hammered Navy. So that's what you want to see. That's what you want to see if you are a UNLV fan. You want to see that happen, and then so you also have Army does play Air Force. They're ranked 21 right now, but we'll see. They'll probably win that game, but they do end up playing. Army does play Notre Dame eventually. We looked it up. I don't remember when they actually play them, but they will play them. And if Army gets absolutely blown out by Notre Dame, even if they have one losses, and UNLV was able to win out the rest of the season, beat Boise State in the Mountain Western Conference Finals, yeah, they would have one extra loss, but I think that could propel UNLV. So there's a slight chance for UNLV. Obviously, Boise State is your front runner to make that 12th spot. And we'll see how Army does the rest of the season. But I think Navy losing to Notre Dame that bad, they're pretty much officially out. Um,
Yeah. Also the silver lining for the UNLV is they should win their remaining 4 games. So they're
yes.
still going to finish the season 10-2. which
which
is
they've never
phenomenal.
done that. So last year
Yeah.
they were 9 and, whatever it was for the regular season. So, it's progress. Barry Odom's a great coach. The only sad thing is we're gonna be losing he's gonna be losing a lot of players going into next season. A lot of players are senior transfers or seniors that have been on the team for a while. So we'll have to see the recruiting power um, of Barry Odom, which I think is pretty dang good. So yeah, we'll see.
And you know what? Hats off to Boise State because they are a fun team to watch.
They are
Genty, the way
just
he
not on
stands
the
in the
just not
backfield.
just not on their field
Oh, yeah.
because
We've agreed on that. Yeah. The way Genty stands in the backfield is it's funny, it's terrifying, it's weird, it's kinda cool. Like, it's, like, literally everything, just the way he stands, like, straight up back there, and he does legitimately look like Michael Myers. It's weird. And also, if he continues on this path he's having and does not win the Heisman category, then we should just change the Heisman, much like we should the NFL MVP award, to just go to the best quarterback. Like, if it's not going to be to the best player, we should just stop making it seem like it could, right?
right,
Because we talked about it on last episode where it's like all the running backs before him who won the Heisman almost had like half the stats he currently has right now at this point in their seasons. So if he again continues on this path, like, and he doesn't win the Heisman, then it's again just the best quarterback on the best team wins, which is boring. Just make that a separate award.
right.
But the other games I wanted to talk about, Casino, was we had high hopes for Missouri, who got completely blasted by Alabama 34-0. That game wasn't even close, never felt close. We were There was a slim chance, but the way Alabama looked, we still thought they had a chance. And then I was really high on Illinois against Oregon. I was like, I
Same.
smell an upset alert. And then again, they also got smoked. But the game we correctly predicted, uh, almost was, and a game I bet, and the number on it was insane. It was like, have you guys watched Vanderbilt in the past month they've been playing college football? The line on this game, they were giving Vanderbilt like 8 plus 18. So they were
Which is
giving them
insane.
18 points. And it was like, did you watch the Georgia game? Did you watch the Vanderbilt Alabama game? Vanderbilt loses by 3 to Texas, who is now ranked number 7. Did that Georgia game break Texas, Casino? Because they do not look the same.
Yeah, I would think so. I You're right. Ever since then, it's just like what happened to Alabama. Is as soon as they had a knock to their armor, like they started falling apart, man. It was like hitting that one Jenga piece, and everything just starts to crumble. Wait
Yeah,
for a bit.
yeah.
But you know what, good on Vandy, man.
I
Seriously,
mean, that quarterback, Pavia, he is a damn good. I don't know if he'll be an NFL pro, but he is a damn good
he might
college
make a
quarterback.
practice squad.
We saw what happened with Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young. Anything's possible in the
Right.
NFL,
The one
Casino.
that I
But
did get right though was Texas A&M.
yeah, well, Texas A&M dark horse. I've been seeing this for a couple weeks now. Dark horse to potentially be the SEC champion, like potentially,
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm
I
all
don't know.
for it. I mean, Ohio State was also on upset alert. They barely beat Nebraska, which was a fun one. Washington State edges San Diego State. Colorado won. Whoop de doo. The SMU game was really good. That was SMU won by 28-27. Watched a lot of that one. And then again, as I said, I know Kansas was not good this year, but Kansas State was going to be fun because it's in state, and that one was really good too. 29-27.
Yeah. And then Texas A&M right now is atop of the SEC at the
Oh yeah,
moment.
I know. That's why I wanted to keep winning.
Yeah, but then also that's going to be crazy if they end up winning the SEC and then you have Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, LSU, Alabama, Ole
Alabama's
Miss,
not getting in.
Vanderbilt. Yeah.
Alabama's not going to get in a large bid. They won't.
Well, they're right now they're 7th on the SEC rankings in terms of the SEC. So, how
Yeah.
they're not
So
ranked or they're still ranked, are they not? Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they are.
14th.
But
That's
but
ridiculous.
they're not gonna make the college football playoffs. They will not make the college football playoffs because you'll have the winner of that, and you said 7th, right?
Yes.
So, this is what would have to happen for them to get in, is one of those 7 win the SEC, that's not them, and then the other 6 at large bids would have to go to all SS blah, blah, blah. I can never say it.
SEC.
SCC teams. So
You
that's not
still
gonna
didn't
happen.
say it.
I
It's
know.
SEC.
SEC, blah, blah, blah. But Alabama's not going. They're not going. They are off the radar of the college football playoffs.
Fingers crossed. I hope you're right. But there is upcoming the big game next this coming Saturday is Ohio State Penn State, number 3 and number 4. So
Yeah, let's go Penn.
Penn State destroyed Wisconsin and then what? Who is it? Ohio State, as you just said, barely squeaked out a victory. Also, I'll tell you what, Colorado Casino, they look good. They
Ugh,
look good.
I
I know we're annoyed by them most of the time, but they're a good football team.
no,
Like you
no.
watch them and they're what? Let's see, look at their I mean, they're 6-2. They're 6-2 in the Big 12,
Yeah, they
just
lost to
behind.
Nebraska. They got blown out by Nebraska, though.
I know, but that was when everybody, including myself, thought Nebraska was good, and then they kind of fell off with the Mahomes clone. But I'll tell you what, the only team I really think they would have trouble with in the Big 12 is BYU. Because BYU, I watched most of that game they played against UCF. They're good. They're really
Yeah,
good.
they are.
They just soaked their way to victory. But Casino, let's anything else you want to talk about in college football, or can we move on to NFL?
We can move on.
uh let's do our NFL pick
Oh,
update,
that took like
Casino.
2 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds for it to register what you just said. That was great.
uh our NFL our NFL picks this weekend, Casino. NFL picks update. You won the week.
Of course I
Uh
did.
let's hold on. We actually tied the week
'Cause I
with
got blowout.
you tied the week where we both got 9 correct picks. However, you nailed the blowout of the week, which
Yeah, I
was
did.
Lions Titans. You also got upset of the week, which was Cardinals beating Dolphins.
I did.
So I said there was going to be no upset of the week, so I didn't pick it. And then I really thought the blowout of the week would be Chiefs Raiders. So as it stands right now,
Mhm.
Casino is in the lead 75 to my 69.
Nice.
Nice. So that is how our
Mhm.
picks go. Now, Casino, let's move on. I changed the name of when we talk about these games because I was like, Marquee miserable. I'm not gonna put 2 clips of those a week, right? We're talking about both. So instead, let's talk about the best of the week. And the best of the week, if we have to talk about it, Casino, is of course the Bears Commanders game. And what happened on first off let's start at the end and we'll work our way backwards. The game ends on just a rocket of a throw by
Dude,
um
he threw that. He stepped into that at the 35-yard line.
and it reached about the 5-yard line and then deflected off a Bears defender's hand into the waiting arms of a Commander's wide receiver for them to win the game on a Hail Mary. The last play of the game, they win 18-15. Uh, Thoughts on just this game as a whole, Casino?
It was fun. I liked it. It was, you had the top 2 quarterbacks, number 1 overall, number 2 overall picks. Um, Very entertaining. This was one that I had circled where I thought was gonna be a really fun game to watch. Um,
Also, a game we would have picked completely different if on Thursday we thought Jaden Daniels was playing.
because we picked
Because
the
if you
Bears,
go
right?
back, we both picked the Bears, and our
Right.
reasoning was that Jaden Daniels was going to be out of this game, and we were talking up Mariota. So yeah, but if he was in, both you and I definitely would have picked the Commanders because we are both not high on the Bears.
Right, and you know what? Jane Daniels actually did really well.
Yeah, well, it was announced, I believe, on Saturday, maybe Friday, that or it might have even been later than that. It felt like really late that Jaden Daniels would be in this game, and he was, and he played pretty damn good game.
Yeah, I
21
mean,
38,
the
326
percentage wasn't
touchdown.
great, but again, you protect the football, you move the football, 326 yards, off of
Also
21.
52 rushing. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Like
you did what you needed to do. You came in, you protected the football. It was a fun game. It was a fun game.
and
Um,
then the Noah Brown caught the 52-yard touchdown off a deflected pass from the Bears defender who was
so
not in the
Tyreek
play.
Tyreek Stevenson. If you haven't seen it, look it up. I mean, here, if I have time, I'll try to find it and post it on one of our sites. Um, I didn't watch the first half of all the football games because we had our anniversary party for work on the 26th. So I didn't get home till like 4 a.m. I was out. I didn't wake up till like halfway through all the games. Um, but anyway, yeah. So Tyreek Stevenson is in the end zone, thinking the play is done, thinking his team got it done, and he is just taunting every Washington fan. Looks over, realizes the game's still going on, runs over to the play, and without like while still running, he doesn't stop and like wait for the ball to get there. It was bang bang, runs over there, jumps up, tips it, and great awareness by the Commanders guy that caught it,
Noah Brown.
Noah Brown, because he stepped back. He stepped back and just waited for it to come to him, and he just stood there, and it just landed right in his arms like a little baby. Just got it. It was absolutely insane. I love Caleb Williams throwing a fit. See, this is all right. So this is where I can tell if I like a player or not. It's big moment stuff like that where yeah, that's frustrating. Yeah, you lost, but don't you're a leader on that team. Don't act like a child on the sideline. You know, don't
Yeah,
act,
but
be
Brady was the king of this. Brady was the king of being an upset little baby at the end of games he loses.
no. I
Look at
mean,
every Super Bowl he ever lost, which I get are different circumstances, but he also would always get shit for breaking, for throwing shit and
we're not
yelling at
talking about
people.
him right now. All right, we're not talking about him. We're talking about Caleb Williams. Okay, all right, sounds good. Um, anyway, sounds good.
Ugh.
Uh, but yeah, so that happened, and I thought it was great. I thought it was great. I thought it was phenomenal. And you
Also, there's a weird conspiracy theory where when the camera is following Caleb Williams down the sideline, and he's yeah, rightfully, I would say, pissed off, there is for some reason a shot of Keenan Allen standing there and he's like smiling and like really enjoying it. So I don't know, something, nothing, probably nothing, but
no,
still
it's
weird.
one of those like in disbelief, kind of like really.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
one of those things. Um, but yeah, no, Commanders 6-2. Keep rolling. Keep rolling.
But yeah, also the game itself up to that point was pretty good. And then there has been talks, always after something like this happens, it's like anonymous sources around the NFL, like when it comes to coaching and stuff like that, they're like, we're going to be showing this film of like what not to do on a Hail Mary
Well, so
and
you know
blah,
what?
blah, blah, blah,
I
blah.
don't understand when I watch Hail Marys, it always happens where everybody's bunched up and the ball gets batted somewhere away. I would just have one person stand behind the entire pile the whole time and
Yeah.
just have everybody just try to bat it. That's it.
Well,
Don't try to catch the football, just try to bat it. Like, have 3 players, have 1 on each side and 1 behind, you know? Just do that, and you just try to have, like, 2 of your receivers or 3, 2 receivers or whatever it is, just try to jump up and bat the ball. Like,
yeah.
don't try to catch it. When you try to catch it, that's gonna be the issue when every other player on the defense is trying to knock the ball down, you
Well,
know?
that's what they always say for the defenders. Like the issue is if you try to catch it, where all you're trying to do is just like swat it forward. just like swat it down, right? Because if you try to catch it, then stuff like this happens. And I don't even think the Bears defender was trying to catch it. It looked like he just barely got like his finger on it to try to like alter where it was going, but you're just supposed to like paw it down. So this doesn't happen where you hit the ball and then it ricochets into somebody else's arms. But I've also never understood on the Hail Mary why everybody gets bunched up together. Wouldn't you want like all your wide receivers spread out and then for them all to just go for the ball? So then maybe you catch a defender slipping or you do a double move on him or something like that. I don't know. But again, I feel like Hail Marys um, are a 50% better chance to win the game than oh, it's the end of the game. Let's try to do 50 laterals, right? Like the 50 laterals thing never works. Where it's just like, let's
It
just keep.
worked once.
Yeah, but that wasn't even, that was like a fluke where the other team caught the lateral. That wasn't like your team trying to do the lateral and they succeeded. It was like
No, but
your team
it was more
fumbled.
no,
Yeah.
no, Miami did the lateral, and
I was thinking of the Raiders,
no, they were
one.
expecting they were expecting the Hail Mary, so they put Gronk all the way back there, and they started doing the lateral, and Gronk got beat down the corner.
Yeah, I was thinking of the other lateral that beat your team. But now, Casino, actually, speaking of your team, I put that as one of the best of the week because
Let's
the
go.
Jets, being the Jets, and now this is our favorite time of the year, which is to shit on Aaron Rodgers because the New England Patriots win 25-26. They are now 2-6, much like the Jets are 2-6. Again, a thing that before the start of the season, they were projected to win the AFC East. And both you and I were like, how, why, what have you seen from this Jets team that makes you think they're going to win this division? But in this game, Aaron Rodgers, 17 for 28, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns. Actually, a pretty good game. But your New England Patriots end up pulling out the game. I mean, Drake May, you said it yourself. He gets
He
absolutely KO'd.
he got hit. He's out. They're taking precaution. Keep him out. Yeah, and then so Jacoby Brissett came back in, got the job done. Wasn't pretty, but he got the job done. Got the job done. That's all I got to say on that. He got the job done.
And then the weirdest thing from this game that everybody started digging into was that the Jets used all their timeouts in like the first 5 minutes of the first quarter. So obviously you get three each half. So they use all three within 5 minutes of the game. And so somebody on Twitter, Pat Thorman, dug this up. This is Aaron Rodgers' offense play call seconds remaining at the snap compared to all other quarterbacks in the league since 2020. He is dead last, meaning he snaps the ball with the least amount of time consistently over the last 4 years with the least seconds remaining on the clock, which when you're on a team that doesn't know your audibles or what you're trying to call, or I don't know, when you maybe fired your head coach and have an interim head coach, that leads to not knowing the play, the players not knowing the audibles. So again, you either have to get a bunch of delay of games or use all your timeouts and then get delay of games, which is pretty much what happened in this game. So the Aaron Rodgers experiment in New York, I mean, did anybody, well, obviously Vegas did, but did anybody with a reasonable football brain think this was going to go any differently? Did anybody think a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers was going to go on to the Jets and just
Oh, I'm sorry, I was muted.
solve all their issues?
I'm so happy about it, dude. Like honestly, the Patriots, I want them to not win as many games. I want them to still have a top 5 draft pick. I want a good receiver. I think we got our quarterback. I liked what Drake May has done, and he's got room for improvement. Um, they just need weapons and better offensive line, and I think the Patriots will be a decent team moving forward. So I want they have a lot of off-season money that they can spend, and so I'm just kind of waiting for that. They are going to have to fill up the defense a little bit now because they did just trade Uchi, as I said, that had a potential. going to the Lions, but um, or not the Lions.
He went to the
Was
he
the
went to
Lions
the
or
Chiefs.
but
Went to the
no?
Chiefs.
Who lost Aiden Hutchinson? Why am I blanking on the team?
Lions. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. So your face made it seem like I was saying something wrong. Yeah. So there was potential that he could have gone there, but no, he did go to the Chiefs, which just stacks them up even more. Again, how can they afford players? I don't know. They they got him for a steal. They got him for sixth a 6th round draft pick, not next year, but 2026.
Yeah. Though that's one of those players which one of those like value picks where you're like, how was 30 other teams not trying to get this guy? That just
In
seems
my
like a
opinion, yeah.
weird, even if a depth like piece, like for a 6th round pick, that's a guy can play. I mean, what they say after the 3rd round, it's like a question mark if that person ever steps on the field. But last thing about Aaron Rodgers Casino, I saw this on our Twitter. Also, go follow us, the Sportscast, or the only Sportscast on Twitter. Go follow us over there. So this was posted by NFL on CBS. Most wins for a Jets/Giants quarterback since start of last season. You have Tyrod Taylor and Trevor Siemian tied at 2. Daniel
Seaman.
Jones, Aaron Rodgers, and Tommy DeVito tied at 3. So Aaron Rodgers has as many wins as DeVito and Jones. And then there is one quarterback who has 4 wins
That
since
motherfucker.
boom. There he is. There he is. Our Lord and Savior, Zach Wilson. Also, if you look at, I don't know if you can see the cursor on the screen, but if you look at Sanders down here, or Saunders, I mean, he made a good point on this reply right here. One of Rodgers' wins was the 4-play game that Wilson finished, the Monday Night Football game that Rodgers got knocked out of. They were down 10 and still won that game with Zach at the helm. So really, you can actually give that win to Zach Wilson and take one away from Aaron Rodgers, which means he has as many wins as Tyrod Taylor and Trevor Siemian. And Zach Wilson has 5 wins with the Jets because you switch those, obviously. So maybe Zach Wilson, moving off Zach Wilson for Aaron Rodgers, maybe not the best idea. But yeah. Now, Casino, we can move on to well, we talked about your team. Let's talk about my team. The Eagles, not only did they beat the Bengals, they absolutely dominated and destroyed them. The game was not even close. Literally after the first Bengals drive, it was just an Eagles blowout.
I,
The
I want to.
Eagles
I want to go give Joe Burrow a hug.
the Eagles win 37-17. Wasn't even close. Joe Burrow had I mean, he had an okay game. He was 26 for 37, 234, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The interception honestly wasn't his fault. It was like a
No,
fluke where the Isaiah Rodgers like hits the ball midair and it kind of just falls into the arms of uh Chauncey Gardner Green. So that was a fluke that I won't blame him for. But other than that, the Bengals the Bengals team, it's all about their defense and how they just can't stop anybody. And also, I mean, they only gave up 1 sack to Burrow, but he was under consistent pressure
I
basically
mean
the
he has
entire
been.
game.
He has been his entire career
Yeah.
at Cincinnati.
Well,
Get
that's
him
what
out
I'm
of there.
saying. It was a microcosm of every issue wrong with the Bengals is ever since Joe Burrow got drafted there, which is they can't protect him, they can't give him time to throw, and then their defense can't stop anybody. Because the Eagles, I mean, I saw even from the harshest critics after this game, the Eagles were basically A+ in every category in this game, from special teams to offense to defense. Jalen Hurts, this was like
I told you, Saquon, you're gonna break out.
well, I'll tell you what, Saquon, he had 22 carries, 108 yards, but this really felt like the Jalen Hurts game. He was just, I mean, that deep throw to Devontae Smith for the touchdown was the longest completed pass of his career. And like, an absolute beautiful, perfect throw that if Mahomes made that throw, it would have been number one on Sports Center all night, and everybody would be talking about how it's the greatest throw they've ever seen. But yeah, now all of a sudden, I know there's a bunch of NFL pundits who were on TV just being like, Eagles are, oh my god, the funk from last year, they're dead, like all this kind of stuff. Well, now all of a sudden they're 5-2. They're basically a dropped Saquon pass away from being 6-1. And now, especially in an NFC that Buccaneers lost pretty much all their weapons, Lions lost their edge rusher on an already struggling defense.
Mhm.
Eagles offense is now getting everybody back. Their defense is now top 5 in almost every category. Here come the Eagles, where the rest of their schedule also is very, very winnable, very doable. They don't really have uh many tough games left in terms of like, let me see. Oh, why is that not popping up? They have Why is this not popping up, Casino? I
Yeah.
know they have this coming week they're playing the Jaguars and they're wearing their Kelly green, which is maybe the most beautiful jersey in the NFL. But they're playing the Jaguars, then they're at Dallas. They do a short week against Washington, which I'm scared about. But then they go Rams, Ravens, which is probably their that hardest stretch is right there. Week 11, 12, and 13, where they go Thursday night, then Sunday night, then Sunday day. But again, it's against Commanders, Rams, Ravens back to back. But then they finish the season. They go Panthers, Steelers, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants. So
Jeez.
Giants and Panthers are basically guaranteed wins. They probably split with either the Cowboys or Commanders. So right there, I mean, they're a 5-2 team with maybe one, possibly two games they definitely lose, and then everything else is up in the air. So all of a sudden, pretty dangerous, Casino. And they definitely will on Thursday now be in my top 10 because I said this was the game I needed them to show me something. And I was basically impressed with everything I saw from them. No complaints whatsoever. All right. Now we move on to the next game, Casino, which is Ravens at Browns. The now 2-6 Cleveland Browns win against the now 5-3 Baltimore Ravens 29-24. It's crazy what happens when the Browns have an actual passing attack. Jameis Winston, 27 for 41, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Nick Chubb is back. I know they're 2-6, but how dangerous now are the Browns with that elite defense and an actual passing attack?
They'll roll off some games. They're still too far out to make a playoff run, I'm assuming. You know, 6 losses, like, you pretty much just have to have a clean slate from here on out to have a shot, to make the playoffs. They can be an upset team, though. They can be a team that comes in and messes with people. Look what they just did to the Ravens. We've been worried about the Ravens defense for a bit, and the Browns did great. Um, but I want to ask you something. How much of this do you think was just the city? Because it was in Ohio. Do you think that the Cleveland fans just rallied behind this team because they got Winston out, or they got Watson out? Winston came in. They have their running back. So how much of this do you think was just there's so much energy about the change,
Yeah,
um,
I
that they
think
wanted to be an upset team against the right, like, all the writing was on the wall for this game for them to come and win this game. Obviously, I'm still surprised that the Ravens lost the game, but to make it at least a good game, and obviously they inevitably won it, but
yeah.
everything was on the wall for them to come out and do well. The motivation was there, and they played well.
Well, you nailed it when you said they're too far out to make the playoffs, but they can still be a spoiler team, and that is never more evident than when you look at their upcoming schedule because it looks like one of the hardest
Yeah,
remaining schedules
and
in the league.
and you know what's crazy is, like, this game, like, this game was a really good game, man. There was one fumble law, and it was actually one turnover, and that was on Cleveland. They had the same amount of penalties. Like, it came down to 3rd down efficiency, and the Browns were just phenomenal. They went 8 for 15 on that, which is really good. Um, but, I mean, really, Lamar did not play well, or not did not play bad. He was 23 for 38, 2 touchdowns, almost 300 yards, protected the football. But Jameis Winston, man, coming in, throwing it for 41 times, hitting 27 as targets for about 334 and 3 touchdowns, no
Also,
interceptions.
no interceptions for him is like the craziest stat ever.
I know.
I
So
mean,
we've talked about it plenty, and I will brief it again right now. One of my favorite quarterback stories of all time is when he went 30 for 30. I thought that was the coolest thing. That was freaking great.
yeah.
They need to
He
make it 30 for 30 on his 30 for 30.
Well, he did have the one fumble, so he wasn't turnover free. He still turned the ball over, but it's much more
Interception,
fun when he throws 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Those are
dude.
much more fun games.
I mean, and yeah, it was great. Tillman almost had he was yards shy of 100 yards, but he still had the 2 touchdowns. Chubb, only got 52 yards, but he's coming back from injury. Henry only got 73 yards, so the run defenses, they stood up. They did what they needed to do. Zay Flowers had another over 100-yard game, which great for him. I'm liking his story this year. He's doing really really well over in Baltimore, and I like that. Um,
Yeah. But again, the issue we've always said with Baltimore is just their defense can't stop anybody. And I
sure.
mean, Jameis Winston again, we always see that thing where the good quarterback who's been on the bench comes in and has like the great game right away. But I also think when they play at the end of the season, it's going to be more of the same. Like this Ravens defense is just, I would dare say, abysmal. Can I use the word abysmal? Right now, they
They're
are
soft,
26th. They're 26th ranked in the entire NFL. So they're a bottom
soft,
five defense in
soft.
almost every category. Casino quoting his coach. But that is what I had for best of the week, Casino. Now let's move on to worst of the week. And I only have 4 of these as well. Cardinals at Dolphins. This was the worst of the week, just strictly for Tua coming back, looking pretty good, and then having a pretty damn good game. And then they
He had
still
a great
lose
game, actually.
to the Cardinals, who surprisingly Cardinals 4-4. And
They're
again,
they're just scrappy fun. I don't expect them to make the playoffs. I don't expect them to do anything like that.
well, also, they're the team when I pick them to win, they lose, and when I pick them to lose, they win. So the 4 times I picked them to win, they've lost, and the 4 times I picked them to lose, they win. So that's fun because I said it on the episode when we were doing our picks. I was like, I like the Cardinals in this game, but if I pick them, I know they'll lose, so I'm just going to pick the Dolphins, and they'll still probably win, which is what happened. But Tua came back. The funny thing from this game was he broke off that long run, and then he actually slid before any of the defenders were around him, and like the crowd erupted like he just completed a 50-yard Hail Mary pass. So when your quarterback's running around the field and everyone in the stadium is terrified
You
for him,
wanna say hi to Uncle BJ? Say hi.
probably,
Hey.
Say hi, BJ.
Hi, VJ.
Say hi, fam.
uh,
Hi, Vince.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
But yeah, always a good sign when your quarterback, your crowd is so terrified that literally when you don't get hit, the crowd is erupting in in celebration. But much like the Browns, I think the Dolphins are too far out to do anything. 2-5. At least they already had their bye, so they're technically a game behind, but yeah, I don't know. From what we saw from this Dolphins team, Casino, I don't think what is it? Tua coming back will solve, I don't want to say all their issues. It'll solve some of them definitely, which has been their abysmal quarterback play.
0.
But yeah, I still have no faith in this team. However, much like the Browns, they do feel like they're just going to be a continuous spoiler for everyone here. They're now, here is the thing. Their offense is 27th ranked in the league, 29th in the league of in terms of passing
Mhm.
because they haven't had Tua, but they do have a top 3 defense. So even with Tua out, their defense was still pretty great. And dare I say elite. And then with Tua coming
Hmm.
back, I don't know. Crazier things have happened, Casino. If would you be shocked if in 3 weeks all of a sudden the Dolphins are 3-3? I don't think I would. I don't think I would.
I would be. I would be.
And then as far as the Cardinals go, all of a sudden, the NFC West is now like a three-team race, or actually a four-team race. The
It's
Cardinals,
every
the
single team. Yeah.
the Cardinals, the 49ers, and the Seahawks are 4-4. The Rams beat the Vikings on a game we're about to talk about, and then they are now 3-4, getting Cooper Cup back, getting
Puka
Puka
Nakua.
Nakua back, not trading Cooper Cup anywhere. So
My dinner goes, Who's Pua Pua?"
actually, let's talk about that game, Casino. Thursday night, the Vikings were at the Rams and they got upset by that same Rams team. Puka Nakua, again, one of
Wow.
those things that
Okay, and you know what? No, I stand by that. I thought TJ Hawkinson was coming in, but Pua Pua is a player. He's a football player. Anyway, so I thought that TJ Hawkinson was coming back. They decided to activate him the next day. So they did that on Friday. They
yeah.
gave him, but that was a last second thing that they did.
Well,
Um,
also last second that Puka
ye-
Nakua played.
yeah. So you know what? We were on the fence about this, and
Mhm.
you told me no, you wouldn't have. No, you wouldn't have. Yeah, I probably would have picked the Rams if TJ Hawkinson wasn't coming back in, and if Puka Nakua was, because again, all the things that we talked about, short week, played the Lions previously, like those are all like the Lions. Anybody who plays the Lions after them, they're nobody's won. So
Yeah.
it was that Niners thing that happened, last year or what was it, 2 years ago, whatever. So I would have picked the Rams if I knew Puka Nacua was coming back, but I thought it was switched where I thought the Vikings were gonna get a player and they were not, but man, oh man, Puka Nacua, he had 7 receptions, 106 yards, outstanding. Matthew Stafford, he's so fun to watch. I love
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford. I just rewatched that highlight of him when he was playing for the Lions where he got everybody up to the line and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna spike it, we're gonna spike it.
Oh, and he
Let's
just
go,
jumps over the
eat your
line.
ass," and he just grabs it and just yeah, like
Yeah.
it fooled everybody. It fooled his entire team, I believe. Like it was outstanding.
Yeah.
It was outstanding. I really like Matthew Stafford. I thought that was fun. And Sam Darnold didn't play bad, man. This is a
No,
good
he
game.
I'll tell you what, the Vikings had a pretty good game, and then they had
Jefferson had another 115-yard game.
well, the controversy coming out of this game was in the fourth quarter, the Rams get a safety on one of the
Oh yeah.
most egregious face masks you're ever gonna see. So I
He was
asked the
looking at his
question.
ear hole.
Yeah, there and again, the memes have already started. They've kind of already ended because this happened on Thursday, but all the referees were literally standing around him, and you can see
There's a
every
there
angle.
is a great still photo shot of one of the refs, that was in the back of the end zone staring directly at the play, and you see the hand, like, just gonna kinda turn it this way, so the ref's looking right here, and it's the hand right in the mask.
Uh,
Like,
yeah,
how do you not call that? I mean, the only contact was the hand to the face, was face mask. It wasn't like, "Oh, he went down because it was also, like, a body shot or this or that." The only reason Sam Darnold went down is because of that. And you know what's really funny? I will say this. Is this is just me being my brain how it was working, is I was like, when I first saw it, I go, "Damn, that sucks for Cousins. Man, I can't believe Cousins got his head turned around like that." I still think the quarterback of the
uh,
Vikings is Kirk Cousins. Like,
yeah.
it just
I mean, Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold, I've never seen them in the same room together. They could still be the same person, but also, I've seen a thing floating around online about how the Commanders Bears game ended and there was a bunch of holds on that play, but they
Okay.
didn't call it
You know
because it
what?
was decide the game.
I don't think that there was holds. I don't. Um, the block in the back, though, I think that was a block in the back.
Yeah.
So
Well, but
I don't agree with everybody saying, "Oh, the holds this and this." Not me because I'm now like a Washington fan. Um, I I'm glad they didn't make the hold calls, but that was a clear block in the back as he had straight line to Jaden Daniels right before he threw it, and
Yeah.
That was
But see, that's one of those things where it's last play of the game. It's a Hail Mary. Like, I understand not calling it there. This was the play that inadvertently ended the game, but it was also like if they would have given him that penalty, it would have been like 15 yards. They would have been at what? The probably 25-yard line, and they still had to go 70 yards and score a touchdown. Like, it's not like this call would have, you know, ended the game for the Rams on a penalty. It literally just would have given the Vikings like a shot to not even win the game, to go like tie it. So that's why I think this was, again,
even with the conversion.
well, yeah, they would have to go down, get a touchdown, and then get a 2-point conversion to send the game to overtime. So that's why I think this one was so egregious, where it just took away like the chance to even try to win the game, not like a last play of the game and this either ends it or wins it for them. Get
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, I think that's where the difference is. But now, Casino, we move on to we already are in the worst of the week. Vikings Rams was worst of the week just for that call, which was egregious. But we already talked about this one briefly. Casino won his blowout of the game, or blowout of the week. Detroit Lions 52, Tennessee Titans 14. I mean, that Viking or that Titans defense was number one all season. And then boy, did they get, I mean, kind of put in their place to where they rightfully should be, because them having the number one defense as a 1-6 team did feel
And you know,
kind of,
the best part about this is Jared Goff only had to throw the ball 15 times.
yeah, he only what? He only had 80 yards, I believe. 85 yards, 3 touchdowns. The weirdest part of this game was Jahmyr Gibbs had over 100 yards, but it was mostly special teams.
Yeah,
Like,
it was all
every
special teams.
every punt return or kick return was just like returned 80 yards. This was a weird blowout to watch, because it's like the stats you're looking at and you're like, how did this team blow out the other team? But it was basically, yeah, all kick return yards on punts and returning kicks. So and then again, Mason Rudolph, 2 interceptions. I mean, nothing really to talk about this game. That's what's in worst of the week, Casino. Next
Fair,
up,
fair.
we already talked about it. Colts Texans. Texans barely squeak it out. Uh, Both of these teams, I mean, are drastically different after this game. No Stephon Diggs, and now Flacco's starting. So also Flacco's starting for the Colts in kind of a division they can still win. Right now, they're 2 games back of the Texans. But again, we've talked about the Texans. And if you look at kind of the side-by-side comparison, their defenses are very similar. The Texans have scored like 10 more points than the Texans have all season. So I don't know. These two teams, it's kind of a 2-man race in the AFC South, but Colts still have a chance now, especially with Flacco Elite. Last game, Casino,
Whoop, whoop.
that I wanted to talk about was last night's game. Oh, no, wait, no, hold on. Last of the worst of the week was Cowboys 49ers.
Loved
I
it.
mean, 49ers, the Cowboys always make the game look like it was closer than it actually was, because they get garbage points. In the fourth quarter, they basically put up 14 points when the game was already over. This
Mhm.
game was basically 30-10 when San Francisco took their foot off the gas. Brock Purdy now 4-0 in his career against the
I
Cowboys.
love it.
Purdy had a decent game. They had Garandu. I
Yeah.
don't know, like their
Isaac
third string running back come in
Keenan.
and be their leading rusher. So is there now, with the NFC West, Casino just being a 4-team race, who you taking out of it when it comes to the Niners, the Seahawks, the Rams, or the Cardinals?
Oh man, I don't know. Truly don't know. I mean,
I
because now you got cutback and you got Puka Nakua, so they can rattle off some wins and get up there tied up. Um, the Cardinals are feisty, but I just don't think that they have what it takes to win the division out of the other teams. I still like Brock Purdy. I mean, Kittle's doing good, and Debo's coming back and from his pneumonia. I mean, he looked good. How about that one catch that he had where like he had to reach back and get it? like
Yeah.
outstanding. Like, I mean, that's pretty much all he did all night. But still,
I
uh,
think
I think the Niners will still get it done.
I think honestly, just based on the players and the defenses they have, I think my dark horse pick is going to be the Rams. I think
That's
they do
fair.
it.
I mean,
I
yeah,
think the Rams are good. I don't trust the Cardinals defense. I like the Seahawks. I don't trust their defense at all. The 49ers are just like bit by the injury bug. And I would love nothing more for them to miss the playoffs and it be the Rams instead. So I'm rooting for the Rams the rest of the season, except when they play the Eagles in a couple weeks. But now we move on quickly to the rest casino. Uh,
don't worry. I sent my wife to Target. You're good.
there we go. Let's just get like one sentence things for all these just little breakdowns of the game. Falcons at Bucks. What'd you see?
Falcons at Bucks. That I was actually more impressed with how the Bucks played without two top receivers. But the Falcons are still going to win that division.
Yeah, pretty much exactly how I feel. Yeah, Baker
Cousins had
Mayfield.
four touchdowns, dude. He went 23 for 29, four touchdowns. Baker Mayfield, he did have two interceptions, but he had to throw the ball 50 fucking times. So
And this was also like I said, the Eagles played a perfect game. This was a perfect game for what the Falcons for what you want to see. Kirk Cousins throws four interceptions. Kyle Pitts has two touchdowns, and Bijan Robinson is the leading rusher and has over 100 yards rushing and receiving from scrimmage with a touchdown. So
mhm.
Cousins performs. Kyle Pitts looks like how everyone always expected him to look, and then Bijan Robinson has a pretty great game. Like this is Atlanta
What you
Falcons wet
wanted.
dream right here.
Yeah.
Next up, casino Bills at Seahawks, a game I was excited for that was kind of just bleh,
What I said it was going to be.
bleh. Yeah, I'm out. My Seahawks are officially dead in my book. Out of my top 10. Everybody was right. Everybody was right.
I mean, the leading rusher was Geno Smith with 16 yards. They're done.
Yeah,
They were cooked, as in James Cook, who had two touchdowns on 111 yards. Boom, boom. Let's go.
yeah. Bills, I would say the takeaway from the Bills is they look like they have found an actual rushing offense. Their defense looks like it's figuring it out. And then Josh Allen playing like Josh Allen. So now all of a sudden, Bills are 6-2, and they kind of look like they are what everyone expected them to be, which was like a dark horse Super Bowl team. So maybe Bills Eagles Super Bowl, I think would be my dream right now. I think I would love, or no, my dream obviously is the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl against anybody and win. But if I take the Eagles out of it, I think we can both agree Lions Bills Super Bowl is
I would like that because there's a lot of Bills fans that I know that I actually like. And again, Bills are the one team out of my division, the Patriots division, where I'm just like, they can win. I don't care.
yeah. Actually, my dream Super Bowl is a rematch with Eagles Chiefs where Eagles beat them this time. That's my dream. But next up, casino Packers Jaguars. The thing coming out of this game is the Packers win 30-27. Now the Packers are 6-2,
2
but
weeks in a row on that kick.
yeah. Jordan Love gets knocked out of the game. Malik Willis comes in, 4 for
Malik the
5,
Freak
56 yards, one touchdown. He
and ran for 23 yards. Malik the
yeah,
Freak.
I'll tell you what, he actually looks pretty good. But Josh Jacobs, what a resurgence, what a pickup. Like he has completely reinvigorated himself from going from LA to Green Bay because he looks again like one of the top 5 best running backs in the league. But
It's
yeah,
great.
the Packers again win on I mean, this one was only 24 yards, but still, Packers again win on a kick
Your Uncle
against a
DJ likes it.
Jaguars team that, I mean, Trevor Lawrence probably had his best game of the season, but they just feel like they're missing something. They feel like their coaching is just all over the place, and now they're 2-6 going to play my Kelly Green Eagles. Next up, Saints at Chargers. Chargers absolutely destroy them 26 to
M
8.
manhandle.
Chargers now 4-3, sneaky playoff team. Yeah, I like this Chargers. I like their defense. I like now all of a sudden it looks like Herbert is getting let to play quarterback now and is just slinging it all over.
Right.
I'm kind of into it. I kind of like how the Chargers
Oh, you
look.
finally like Herbert? Okay.
Yeah, I like him under Harbaugh. Now contention what the number 2 contention for blowout of the week casino, which we debated, was the Denver Broncos against the Carolina Panthers. And Dalton and his family got in a car accident that messed up his thumb
Right.
on his throwing hand, so that meant that they're all okay. But that meant that Bryce Young got back into the game as the starter. He went 24 for 37, 224, 2
It's the
touchdowns.
turnovers.
I mean, again, didn't really show anything, but I'll tell you what,
Bo Nix?
I kind of like Bo Nix. Bo Nix is good. I honestly, if we just take out like all the Caleb Williams, like love
Where's
on
my
his
face
team,
dark? My
he
light
might
one.
be the second best quarterback in the league right now. Or rookie quarterback, I should say. Oh, Casino's light died. He's got 8 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
I don't know how long
Also,
ago that happened. I just noticed. I looked because it's out of battery. Go charge it. Have fun.
but he also has
Go play
4
with
rushing
some wires.
touchdowns.
Go play with
So
some
he
wires
has
and charging.
12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Bo Nix looks good.
I thought you would
Bo
laugh
Nix
at
looks
that.
good.
You didn't.
What?
Just telling my daughter to go play with some wires and electricity.
No, I'm used to you telling her that. But next up, let's go. We got 2 games. Chiefs Raiders. This game, again, weird, 27-20. Mahomes had one of his best games of the season, which wasn't even that good. He was 27 for 38, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I'll tell you what, the Chiefs won, but only winning by 7 against this Raiders team. Maybe there is something to the Raiders being like, we have the recipe to beat Mahomes, because he seems to struggle against the Raiders the last couple times more than anybody. You're on mute.
Or the Chiefs are not good and they get helped out.
Yeah, but even in this game, like there was that egregious like flopping call that Mahomes got, but that's not like it decided the game or anything. What decided the game, of course, was Travis Kelce catching a pass and
Still not over 100
winning the
yards.
game. Yeah, and again, Xavier Worthy targeted 8 times, 4 receptions, 37 yards. But yeah, if you can score on this Chiefs team, I think if you can get
The ball out of Mahomes' hands, you're good.
yeah, if you can
Run the
control the clock and get like 4 touchdowns, if you get to up to 30, I think you can win against the Chiefs. I really think that's the recipe. Now, nobody's been able to get to 30. That's the issue because their defense is so good. But there's going to be a fluke game in there where one team gets up 30 and the
Yeah,
Chiefs
it's called the
can't.
Super Bowl when the Lions put up 60.
Oh, bold prediction. Dude, if that happens, I'm saving this clip. But yeah, something weird's going on here with the Chiefs. Again, they're 7-0 and also last year when the Eagles were undefeated for 10 weeks and everybody was like, this is the worst 10-0 team you've ever seen. There's something off with them. They're winning games really weirdly. That discussion's not being had at all against this Chiefs team, and this Chiefs team
Hey,
looks
you
way
know what?
worse
This
than the
Chiefs
Eagles.
team, they're undefeated, but there's something wonky about them.
Thank you, Casino. Thank you. Finally, somebody said it. Somebody said it. But now we move on to Giants and Giants at Steelers last night, Monday Night Football. Casino and I, we might have been wrong.
Oh, there was a game last night?
There was. We might have been wrong about the whole Russell Wilson thing because he looks pretty damn good. And last night he goes 20
my
for
son's up.
28, 278 yards, 1 touchdown. The Steelers are 6-2. They look like they finally have a passing attack. Giants aren't good. Everybody knew they weren't good, and they still thought they were going to beat the Eagles. How pathetic. But 26-18. My question coming to you, Casino, is did you see the George Pickens catch where he technically didn't get 2 feet down, but he got the same foot down twice? So is 2 feet down when you've clearly secured the catch, but it's both of 1 foot?
I've always thought it had to
in
be
your book?
one of each.
See, I don't know, but when you watch this, I'll show you the catch. It does look like he just caught it. Like it looks like a catch. I don't know. I think it's again, but that just seems like such a weird asterisk. Like either one of each foot or the same foot twice, because it is two separate taps, and he has control of the ball the whole time. I don't know. Looks like a catch to me. But that was a weird game last night. A lot of calls, a lot of touchdown calls that came back, a lot of catches that weren't catches, a lot of weird plays. But again, Steelers pretty much controlled the whole game, 26-18. Daniel Jones had a chance to make it interesting and immediately throws an interception. So same old Jets, same old Giants. Uh, and on that note, do we want to save Casino's Corner for Thursday?
No.
You want to do it right now?
Hell yeah. Because
All
it's
right.
all nothing but baseball. Because we got
All
to
right.
talk some baseball.
Go.
Great intro. Go. All right. Well, Casinos Corner, welcome. We are only going to do one thing, and that is talk about the World Series. Right now, as of today, we have the final, and I'm going to call it the final game because it's going to happen. It's going to be a sweep. The final game tonight with the Dodgers Yankees, game four. Right now, the Dodgers are leading 3-0 in this series. And no Major League Baseball team has ever come back in a World Series and won after being down 3-0. Yes, we could talk about in the ACLS. Back when the Red Sox beat the Yankees when they were down 3-0 back in '04, but that was a while ago, but not in the actual World Series themselves. So Dodgers are going to win this most likely. So with what happened, game one, really good game. It actually went into extra innings. If you did not watch it, did you watch any baseball? I gotta know this.
Yes, I
All
watched
right.
I didn't watch last night's game. I watched the first two.
So it goes into extra innings. It's in the 10th. The Yankees, obviously being on the road, they were up to bat first. They got an extra run on, so made it 3-2. Going into the bottom of the 10th, bases loaded. Well, first it was actually you had two guys on, two outs, and they decide to walk Mookie Betts, who's honestly had a great career this postseason and done really well. So I understand that, and they bring up Freddie Freeman. So Freddie Freeman is a former MVP. My daughter's playing with my son, waking him up. Awesome. Freddie Freeman, former MVP in the league, really good, but he has not been playing well. He's had a lot going on off the field. His son who's okay, was diagnosed with I don't know how to like Guillain-Barre's syndrome. Basically, it's autoimmune disease that attacks your immune system. So he was dealing with that. His son's fine now, but he also got injured earlier in September or late September, September 26th against the Padres. So so I'm adding all this. So you have your psyche, you have your injury, and then Freddie Freeman was only had one extra base hit all postseason, and that was in this game. He started off the game with a triple. So besides that, it was either singles, strikeouts, or walks, or whatever it needs to be. But he never got extra bases. So it's setting up for if I'm a manager, I'd make that call. I'd walk Mookie Betts as well and bring up Freeman. Bases loaded, and first pitch, Freeman takes it yard. Outstanding. Like these are the things that you just like. I watched it 100 times on my phone because that's the moment that's the type of moment that you dream of. Like I've played that with my brothers in the backyard, right? Where it is bottom of the ninth. Well, this was the 10th. Bottom of the 10th, two outs. You're down. You have to hit a home run to win. Base is loaded. And he hits that. It was outstanding. Great for him. That's going to go down as one of the greatest World Series moments of all time, especially if they win this, because that set the tone for the series, winning game one. Yeah, and that's the first Grand Slam walk off in Major League in MLB history. So with that, then they moved on. They go to the next game. My son's just screaming in the background. He's ready to go. The Dodgers do take care of business in game two, but the big note from that one was Shohei Ohtani slid into second, dislocated his shoulder. That's my son. I'm sorry. He's fine. He just woke up from his nap. And instead of leaving him alone, my daughter goes in there and tries to wake him up. Great Casino's Corner. So, anyway, so Shohei Ohtani did injure his shoulder. Doesn't look like he's. And now my daughter just peed and pooped, and now she needs me to wipe. Great Casino's Corner. We're keeping this, by the way. And then so The Dodgers were able to outlast last night in the Bronx against the Yankees. Pitching has been great for the Dodgers. It's been good for both teams, but the Dodgers batting has just been outstanding. And Aaron Judge has been nowhere to be seen. He has had bad postseasons. Um, and with that, I think the Dodgers clinch it tonight. And now my daughter's saying she loves me and she just pooped. My son's screaming. This is time to call it.
It's the Only Sports Podcast. I'm Will. That's Casino over there. Yeah. Adios.